What's up, guys? It's Jeramie Lou Photography. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's late. It's 8:15 at night, and I am hanging out in the office, finishing up some stuff, and I got stuck on a Facebook forum today. So that's what we're going to talk about. I got stuck on a Facebook forum, a group called Law Talk, which I get stuck on all the time. It just shows up on my feed. And this was actually a really good question. It actually made me think. So I'm going to make you guys think as well. So the question is, how do you deal with a client who has signed a contract but hasn't paid you? So this is a story. A photographer had an issue with another photographer, a bride. And they met. Everything was great. Contract signed. Gave them a check, but post-dated the check for a few days later because they were getting paid later. So the money was going to be in there to get that. Well, the day before she was supposed to cash the check, the photographer gets an email saying, hey, we've had some bad news. We can't actually afford to hire you anymore. We'd like to cancel everything. How do I get my retainer back? Turns out the couple, whatever reason or not, it doesn't really matter, but wasn't able to afford it. Got another photographer for free through another third party. And now the photographer is going, what do I do? Do I give them money back or what do I do? The issue is the retainer, not the full price of the wedding, but the actual retainer itself. For instance, my retainer would be about $1,000. So if somebody booked me, in order for them to book me, it would be the contract and it would be $1,000. Once those two things are in hand, they have me forever. But I've always thought that, and I actually had this in my contract, but once they sign the contract, they're mine. If I decide to go after them for the retainer, maybe they haven't paid it or they canceled, I can go after them for the retainer. What do you guys think about this? What would a photographer, what would you do in the situation? Not even photography, but what would you do in the situation to appease this client? Because we have two schools of thinking, right? First school is this. They've signed a contract. If I went and bought a truck today and then tomorrow I was like, I don't want the truck anymore, am I allowed to just return it, go back and get my money back? Probably not. They would probably come after me for some sort of fees or just say, heck no, you have to sell that truck. So why is it that us as photographers, we have to then choose how we're going to deal with this? My initial thought was stick to your guns, stick to your contract. If the contract says that you get that money, you get that money. And then the other school of thought is, oh my God, like be a person, be a nice person and give them their money back. I mean, really, you haven't even booked it yet. And they just decided, so why not go ahead and just give them the money back? But then all of a sudden you're just not, do contracts mean nothing anymore? Do the contracts that I created for them, that they signed, that I have to abide by, all of a sudden that doesn't mean anything anymore? So that's your school of thought. What do you guys think? Comment below and let me know what you guys would do in that situation, in that exact situation. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but this is what I've done in the past. So there's a couple things that I've actually built in my contract and actually helped me out for this. So give or take, my contract basically is ironclad, and it says, if you hire me, you sign the contract, you owe me that money. If you decide to cancel within 3 months of that wedding, 90 days, then I will give you back everything but your retainer. The retainer is there, and we call it a retainer, not a deposit, to hold me for the day. Once you have me, you can't just cancel me because I can't book anything else that day. That's what a retainer is. But I have another part of my contract which makes me a little cooler of a person, and I can add this anytime I want because it's not in there normally, but if it does get down to this and what I've done in the past. So a client paid me their retainer, and in fact, by the time that this came, this was maybe like a month before their wedding, and they called off the wedding. It was done. I at that point could have gone after them for the entire payment of the wedding. But what I did was I did this. I offered them this and it worked out. I said, you know what? If I can book another wedding on that wedding date for any amount up to your retainer, I'll give you your money back. Which means if the retainer was $1,000, if I booked a $500 wedding, I'll give them $500 back. I didn't have to do that at all. I ended up not booking anything and I ended up keeping the retainer. Because we worked it out. I have the money from that day. I didn't end up shooting anything that day because I couldn't book it. It was only a month out. But what I did for them to make my Yelp reviews higher and not worry about a client coming after me was I ended up turning that into a credit. Now they haven't used it yet, but this credit can be used for future shoots, whether it's a family shoot or if they get married again or anything. And then I ended up screwing myself because I didn't get money from that day from that wedding. But I also saved grace with my client a little bit. They understood they lost money from all other vendors, and that's how I kind of felt going into that. But my advice to everybody, look at your contract. Figure out what happens. Do you get to keep the money? They sign the contract. Is there a grace period in between there where they can sign a contract and bail on you? If there's not, make sure you put one in. Even if it's 0 days, no grace period, put that in your contract. A contract is a meeting of the minds. You don't want to get stuck in these situations where you're like, crap, I didn't put it in my contract. What do I do now? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys are new to the channel and this is the first time you're finding me, please go ahead and subscribe. If this helps you out in any way, give me a thumbs up. Other than that, I will talk to you guys later. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.